International Media TV, television that listens to you.
Hi, I'm Johnnie Burrell. Welcome to the program.
All right, good morning, everybody, on this beautiful Tuesday in the city and county of San Francisco. I am so excited to be here. Today, we are proposing to remove barriers that prevent employment for thousands of San Franciscans. For some people, traffic citations like a speeding ticket or a parking ticket are annoyances, but ones that we can deal with. But for others, they can be a major, major financial setback. Back in 2015, a report showed that in cities and counties across the nation, thousands of people were struggling to pay their traffic tickets and courts, fines, and fees. I have firsthand experiences on how these fines can force someone to decide between paying for their car to get out of tow or issues of that nature and paying their rent. In San Francisco, before December of 2015, if someone could not pay those traffic fines, their driver's license were suspended. Imagine already struggling to pay your bills and then you receive a notice in the mail that your driver's license was suspended. Not only can you not drive legally, but more and more companies now require a driver's license specifically for employment. In fact, studies show that of people who have their driver's license suspended, almost half will lose their jobs in a year. This is not equitable. And I am grateful that Supervisor Shaman Walton of District 10 is here with us today because sadly we know that in the Bayview Hunters Point community, it has 3 times the average of the number of driver's licenses that have been suspended statewide. That's why San Francisco was the first in the nation to stop suspending driver's license for failure to pay fines. And over 2 years ago, we were the first to stop suspending driver's license for failure to appear in traffic court. After we discovered that the biggest reason people do not show up for their traffic court dates is because they cannot afford to pay the fees. People are also worried that if they show up, they'd be forced to give up their driver's license, and sadly, some are afraid that they might get arrested. But while we have stopped issuing these suspensions moving forward, we discovered that 88,000 driver's licenses were still marked as suspended in the Superior Court's database. This means that thousands of residents were still unable to drive legally because they did not show up for traffic court dates, even though our Superior Court no longer suspends licenses for this reason. When we looked into what it would take to lift those previous suspensions, we were told that the Superior Court only needed $15,000. $15,000, which we provided. And for $15,000, we could create a clean slate for everyone across our system. It may seem like a small amount, but it is going to have a tremendous impact on so many people's lives. So today, thanks to the work of everyone here, I'm proud to announce that all holds on driver's license for failure to appear in traffic court have been lifted. And what's so great is that we are the first city in California, and according to our research so far, the first city in the nation to do this. Now, to be clear, if you've had your driver's license suspended because you were driving recklessly or you have holds from other counties, your license will still be suspended until you resolve those issues. But if you are one of the thousands who could not afford their traffic tickets and therefore did not show up for traffic court dates, you can now take action to get your license back. We have flyers explaining how to call the DMV and find, well, shoot, how are you going to get through to the DMV? Nevertheless, we have flyers explaining how to call the DMV and finding out exactly what you need to do. And we will be making sure that all of our city departments and websites have this information. While we need to have consequences and penalties for people who break the law, we do not want to do this in a way that makes it harder for people to get a second chance. In San Francisco, we know that we can hold people accountable without putting them into financial distress, whether by eliminating wasteful administrative fines and fees in our court systems, which we did here in San Francisco, or getting rid of overdue library fees that prevent people from accessing our public records, or offering discounts for low-income residents to pay their traffic fines. Today's announcement continues our commitment in this city to help lift people up. By taking this step, we are making it possible for thousands of people to get back to work, to grow our economies, and create better lives for themselves and their families. I'd like to thank everyone who worked together on this, including the Financial Justice Project, the office of our amazing treasurer, Jose Cisneros, and so many amazing people who have worked on these issues for years, including many of the community groups who helped us to focus on the courts over the past several months, and members of the San Francisco Fines and Fees Task Force that led the research on starting this effort. Now, our next speaker is someone who has dedicated her career to fighting for the legal rights of low-income residents and working on a more equitable and financial justice policies. Please join me in welcoming Elisa de la Pina. Wait, thank you. I told you I was going to butcher your name. From Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Breed. It is wonderful to be in San Francisco, which is a leader on common sense policies to increase public safety and benefit and protect our lowest income residents. As many of you know, traffic tickets in California are expensive. We did a study that showed they were twice as much as in many other places, including New York. $500 just for coming around a right-hand turn for a red light. For many families, that is out of reach. And we at the Lawyers Committee have had person after person coming to us and saying, I can't afford $500. If I could have my license, I could keep my job. I could take my kids to their medical appointments. I could take my kids to school and not risk arrest. Because if you drive on a suspended license, that is incarceration. That is a criminal offense. And so this step that San Francisco is taking is saying, we don't want driver's license suspension to be a collection sledgehammer. We want driver's license suspension to be about public safety. And we want San Franciscans and people in the Bay Area who drive here to be able to work. We want our residents to have fair and common sense policies around driver's license suspension. So San Francisco is a leader in this, and we call on other communities to follow San Francisco's lead. 88,000 people, 88,000 suspensions lifted. That means more people who can work. That means more people who can drive safely and legally. And I will say one thing, if you go down to the courthouse in San Francisco and you're there right as the court clerk's office closes, then you have seen the person. Every day there is at least one person who took off of their work at risk to their job, tried to get to the courthouse, and was 2 minutes late after they shut that door. And when you see that look on that person's face, when you know what they had to sacrifice to make that effort, you know that it doesn't make sense to punish that person more than a person with money would be punished, because you can mail in your payment and avoid it. For people who are low-wage workers, for communities of color, this is a punishment for being poor. So congratulations to San Francisco and all the groups, all the organizers who worked so long and hard to make this happen. We are grateful for San Francisco as a leader. Thank you.
Thank you to Elisa and the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights and all the work that they continue to do. Now I'd like to ask the supervisor from District 10, Shaman Walton, to provide a few remarks.
I am definitely going to be brief, as I've been trying to get my voice back for a long time, but this is true equity at work. So many times we fine people for infractions, and then the punishment for that is to increase the fine. And then the punishment for that is to increase the fine and then take away the very things that allow you to be economically self-sufficient, that will put you in a place where you could possibly pay a fine. But we've learned over the years that that does not work. But what does work is information and helping people learn how to be responsible. So going back and retroactively eliminating these unnecessary fines that stifle folks who are trying to work hard to earn a living is the right thing to do. And I just want to thank our Treasurer's Office. I want to thank everyone from the task force and the committees that continue to work on equitable opportunities for our low-income communities to make sure that they're not punished more than the people who are well off. This is important. This is going to make a major impact. And I want to thank Mayor Breed for standing up and leading this city towards these equitable policies here in San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Walton. Now I'd like to welcome to the podium Tyrion Steinbeck from the ACLU of Northern California.
Hello. Hi. So I'm the Chief Program Officer of the ACLU of Northern California newly, but I've worked in civil rights and social justice for 20 years. And I'm a daughter of California and a native of the Bay Area. And so I live here and raise my children here because we're a community that believes in diversity, in equity, and inclusion in our society. I think we aspire for what Martin Luther King talked about as the beloved community. I think we aspire to create the beloved community. But we cannot do that if we are punishing people for being low income and poor. We live in a city and a region, a state and a country with great resources and opportunities, the greatest. And also we have great and unanswered racial and economic inequities. So as we invest in these wonderful programs here, minimum wage and investment in education and training, and we invest in the folks who have been left out of the prosperity of this golden state, we have to simultaneously be rooting out and ending these unjust practices and policies that drain financial resources from these exact communities. If we don't, we are trying to build a house on quicksand. We need to stop that, and we need to look at how equity plays into the work that we do, not just in building community, but also in solidifying the foundation upon which we build it. This is about economic and racial justice. This is about civil rights and liberties, removing burdens that inequity hold people back from jobs and education, but also from fully participating in our communities. This is about moving a little bit closer to that dream of a beloved community. It's about smart on criminal justice. It's about bold leadership. And it's about time. So thank you, Mayor Breed.
Thank you again, everyone, for being here. This is just bringing us one step closer to dealing with what we know are a number of inequitable things that exist in San Francisco that we need to address. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge Cheryl Davis, the director of the Human Rights Commission, who's already started work and research on how we can make sure that even in the city and county of San Francisco, within our various departments, that there's equitable access to job opportunities in our city. We know that there's work to be done, but today we celebrate an amazing accomplishment thanks to so many incredible people who believe in the work that we're doing. And because of this work, we are going to positively impact thousands of San Franciscans and hopefully change their lives and our city for the better. Thank you all so much for being here today.